afternoon, and thank you for joining us today for what I know will be an exciting announcement for the City of Guelph and Wellington County. My name is Megan Hunter. I'm the Program Manager for Parks Infrastructure and Construction here with the City of Guelph. It is with pleasure that I will MC for today's announcement. As we gather here today at Riverside Park, within the reach of the Speed River behind us, we are reminded that Guelph is situated on the treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and home to many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people today. As a city, we have a responsibility for the stewardship of the land on which we live and work. Today, we acknowledge the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, the Anishinaabe peoples whose traditional territory we are meeting today. Before we start, just a few housekeeping items. For those of you joining us virtually, today we have muted all participants and attendees to minimize the background noise and disruptions. We ask that you please keep your microphone muted throughout the program. After the formal program, there will be time for media questions. For all media joining us virtually, we ask that your display name includes your name and outlet. The media portion will begin in person before moving virtually. We ask that those online use the raise hand function for all times for questions. And just so everyone is aware, we are recording and live streaming the announcement today on FedDev Ontario's Facebook page. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Lloyd Longfield, Member of Parliament for Guelph, to share a few introductory remarks ahead of the announcement.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. It's tough to have meetings in settings like this. The birds are singing, the sky is clear, and we have some great news today. It's an exciting day for our community, but also for the County of Wellington, who partners with us on many things that we do together. Again, I'd like to repeat the acknowledgement that Megan has given us that we are on traditional land, that is the Anishinaabe peoples, specifically the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. It's great to be here today with my colleague, Minister Jaczek, who is here to make an announcement on behalf of her ministry, FedDev. Thank you again for joining us virtually, those of you that are doing that, and the people in person at Riverside. As you know, Guelph and surrounding Wellington County is such a unique region. It's got a strong economy, highly skilled workforce, and so much to offer visitors and locals alike. I'm happy that I've gotten to spend time today with Helena in what's our backyard. Barb and I live just over there in the tower, and I get to enjoy this space every day. But now I'm enjoying it with a friend of ours, Helena Jaczek, and we've got to meet local organizations and businesses that make this region unique, and we've had a very solid day working with innovation in Guelph, talking to the businesses in Guelph. Earlier today, Minister Jaczek announced nearly $10 million investment at Innovation Guelph to lead in the delivery of the IDEA Fund in partnership with a network of Southwestern Ontario regional innovation centers to help entrepreneurs scale up and commercialize their clean technologies. This investment will have an impact that reaches across Southern Ontario. It's expected to help 240 companies and more than 800 jobs being created or maintained, as well as accelerating our transition to the green economy, which is a top priority of our government in Budget 2022. Specifically, this fund is focusing on supporting women entrepreneurs, which 50% of the jobs created are going to be focused on women entrepreneurs. Another 30% is on racialized Canadians. Together, we're laying the foundation for the next generation of investors across Wellington County. As we know, Guelph and Wellington County do more than business together. We enjoy our company, we enjoy the nature that surround us. Our main streets, our agricultural routes, our riverside properties and fronts, our excellent parks, trails, and community spaces make this a really unique region and one that's worth visiting. Spaces like Riverside Park here in Guelph are at the heart of many of our communities, and our government is committed to making sure these spaces can continue to be vibrant and attractive, bringing together residents and visitors alike now and in the years to come. So without further delay, I'm excited to introduce Helena Jaczek, the Minister responsible for Federal Economic Development Agency for Southern Ontario. Minister Jaczek's role is to support projects that drive economic growth, not only in Guelph and Wellington County, but in all of Southern Ontario. She's passionate about promoting Southern Ontario as a home for innovative businesses and organizations to thrive and a great place to live and raise a family. Minister Jaczek was first elected Member of Parliament for the riding of Markham-Stouffville in 2019. But before entering federal politics, Minister Jaczek was a member of the provincial parliament for the riding of Oak Ridges Markham from 2007 to 2018, along with her friend Liz Sandals, who most of us know as well, serving in various cabinet roles with Liz. Prior to her work at the provincial and federal levels, Minister Jaczek was a leader in the health sector and practiced medicine at the Women's College Hospital in Toronto. And she was also the Medical Officer of Health and Commissioner of Health Services for the Regional Municipality of York, where she was responsible for public health, land ambulance, and long-term care for 18 years. So welcome, Minister Jaczek, and if you could join me in welcoming her to Riverside Park.
Good afternoon, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. And thank you so much, Lloyd, for that very kind introduction. And we've spent a very interesting day here so far. And I'm really excited to be here with so many people representing the city of Guelph and Wellington County. It truly is a great pleasure, and an exciting announcement for Guelph and Wellington County is about to be revealed. I'm so happy to see the tremendous growth and innovation happening in this area of the province. We had a round table, and I heard from business leaders, not-for-profit organizations, and again, government representatives, and I think it was extremely informative. Je suis heureuse de constater la formidable croissance que vit dans cette région de la province ainsi que son innovation. Here in Guelph and across Wellington County, there's so much to see and do, from local farmers markets to your vibrant and historical downtowns and beautiful green spaces, including the Guelph waterfront and the magnificent Riverside Park, which is the backdrop, of course, for our announcement here today. When we landed at Pearson this morning, early at 8 a.m., I asked if we could drive along some of the back roads to approach Guelph, and it was so wonderful to see. We went north from Brampton, and then we went west through Terracotta, through Erin, and approaching Guelph from that way, just see the beauty and, in fact, the great economic prosperity that actually exists within the agricultural community in the surrounding area. And because we know that communities flourish when they have the infrastructure to promote social interaction and physical activity. Community infrastructure makes our lives better and our communities stronger. Les infrastructures communautaires améliorent nos vies et renforcent nos collectivités. And so that's why our government introduced the Canada Community Revitalization Fund to help communities across Canada build and improve community infrastructure projects so they can rebound from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. In addition, our government launched the Tourism Relief Fund to help the hard-hit tourism sector bounce back from the pandemic and prepare to welcome back visitors safely as we approach the busy spring and summer tourism seasons. And so that is what brings me to why we're here today. I'm pleased to announce that the Government of Canada, through FedDev Ontario, is investing over $2.6 million in 8 community projects in Guelph and Wellington County through the Canada Community Revitalization Fund and Tourism Relief Fund. With this support, 8 not-for-profit organizations and municipalities like the City of Guelph will be able to build and improve their community spaces. Avec ce soutien, 8 organismes sans but lucratif et des municipalités comme la ville de Guelph pourront construire et améliorer leurs espaces communautaires. These projects include improvements to neighborhood parks, community facilities, and hiking trails, supporting the expansion of the Guelph Farmers Market to be open 7 days a week, and increasing accessibility for community spaces. In particular, the City of Guelph is receiving $750,000 to revitalize Riverside Park, make upgrades to the park bandshell, washrooms, and the electric train that I understand is a very popular amusement ride in the park and is about to be started again very, very soon. Investments like these strengthen our communities and improve the lives of Canadians, while at the same time supporting local economic growth. Congratulations to all of these recipients. Toutes mes félicitations aux bénéficiaires. I know that these projects will have a lasting impact on your communities, and I look forward to being able to visit to see the finished results in the future. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you very much for that announcement. What an exciting opportunity for Guelph and Wellington. If I could please ask Councillor Goller to join us for the announcement.
Good afternoon. Mayor Guthrie wasn't able to join us today, so I came on his stead. As a Ward 2 City Councillor, I'm thrilled to be here to join Guelph's Member of Parliament, Lloyd Longfield, in welcoming Minister Jaczek to make this announcement here at Riverside Park today. On behalf of City Council and the City of Guelph, I want to thank the Government of Canada for this investment in Riverside Park. I also want to thank the City staff who put together the application for this funding and our Parks team who worked so hard to maintain this space. Riverside Park first opened in 1905. Over the years, throughout the growth of the city and changes, it has remained a much-loved destination for people of all ages. In some cases, people come here, they came here as children, then they brought their children, and then they are coming with their grandchildren. I'm willing to bet that almost every kid that grew up in Guelph has had their picture taken at some point with the flower arrangement at the front with the clock, or with the carousel, or with the train ride. I'm thrilled that, thanks to this federal investment, we will be able to make improvements to two key elements of this park. The Riverside Express train is an absolutely iconic attraction to Guelph. I believe the last stats we had from 2019 were 17,000 rides. With this investment, we'll be able to build an all-season storage facility so that we don't have to take the train off the tracks every fall and bring it back every spring. And we'll be able to build a loading zone and an unloading zone for the passengers. It will definitely help us to keep the attraction going for years to come so that more generations and families can share this experience with their kids and grandkids. This investment will also support improvements to the band shell. This will help us renew an underused asset in this park. It is about creating a more welcoming and accessible space where we can gather outdoors as a community for events and performances. The band shell has incredible potential. It has been underused for many years, but with this funding, we will bring the space back to life. Once again, I want to thank Minister Jaczek, MP Longfield, and the Government of Canada for this investment in Riverside Park. This is an investment in community infrastructure, which really goes to the heart and soul of what community is all about. I want to take the opportunity to thank you for another investment you announced today, the capital funding for the Guelph Farmers Market. I've talked about Riverside Park being an iconic destination in our community. The Farmers Market certainly is an iconic and much loved destination as well. I'm grateful for your capital investment in this community asset. It has been a very tough couple of years as we've all dealt with the pandemic. One of the silver linings is that it has really made apparent what is important to people in our community, and that is the chance to gather outdoors with family and friends to enjoy outdoor time with the train or in a concert or the farmer's market on a weekend so that we can see each other. And those are the things that we used to take for granted. Once again, thank you very much for your investment in our community, and here's to many more years for memories at Riverside Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Goller, for highlighting the importance of this investment in the Guelph community. It's my pleasure to introduce Carol Pollock, the Chair of Partnerships for Air and Agricultural Society.
On behalf of the Air and Agricultural Society, I would like to extend our thanks to the ministry and the minister here. We are an organization in the town of Erin and made up totally of volunteers. Our major event is the Erin Fall Fair, which is held annually on Thanksgiving weekend and attracts over 30,000 visitors to our area over the 4-day event. And we are very thankful for this funding. The Canada Community Revitalization Fund has allowed us to upgrade our electrical infrastructure at our fairgrounds, which is very old and very unreliable. We never knew if those lights at the track area would come on sometimes when we shut them off. And other areas, and now we have additional lighting and unlit areas of our fairgrounds. Other areas have been converted to LEDs, and we have upgraded the system so we are not constantly blowing breakers, running generators, tripping over extension cords, all that good stuff we all deal with. We're also very thankful for the tourism relief funding that has enabled us to bring back the Erin Fall Fair after canceling it in 2020 due to COVID. Since this is our main source of revenue, our directors made a really difficult and risky decision to plan a fair for 2021 and just hope for the best. We knew we would have many additional expenses in order to comply with COVID restrictions at the time, and it was critical to keep our guests distanced and safe. And this funding allowed us to do that. We're an organization of volunteers, and fundraising is our primary source of revenue. And like everywhere, our volunteers are stretched to the limit, and without this funding, we would not have had the resources to accomplish what we did. We were able to generate income by holding our fair in 2020, and our community was extremely grateful for that. We now have safe, reliable electrical on our property. We've embraced some new technology. We're a growing community, and we're now ready, hopefully, to celebrate again in 2022. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Carol. That concludes the speaking portion of our day today. We will now turn it over to media inquiries. As mentioned, we will be moving forward with in-person first and then over to virtual. If I could have Monica Grandaus up to introduce media. Oh, sorry.
Good afternoon, bon après-midi, tout le monde. We are now starting the media availability. For the media in person, I'd like to invite you to the microphone. If you have any questions, please identify your name and your media outlet. We would also like for the media outlets on Zoom to please identify themselves and raise their hand if they have any questions.
Thank you. I'm Adam Donaldson, Guelph POLITICO. I do have a question for you, Megan, city related, if that's okay. The revitalization of the bandshell, I assume there is some idea about what kind of events we could have at the revitalized bandshell. If you could go into detail about that, please.
Absolutely, thanks for your question. So the bandshell has not been operating for a few years, so it's a great opportunity, especially with this funding, that we're able to also relaunch any type of events and programming that we have there. If you have been out to the site, you know that it's not a very accessible site, so there are plans to enhance the trail connectivity from the parking over to the site itself, as well as add some ramps. That will open up the ability for us to be able to do a lot of different events, whether they be small citizen ceremonies, graduations, as well as other private bookings for events. We're having fun with the big dreaming in the rec and parks areas, seeing what those big event ideas could be. We're also improving the theater lighting and controls so that we can do some outdoor performances as well as music or other performances as well. And hopefully some more exciting ideas that come forward with staff and a little bit of community input as well.
Thank you. A question for the minister then. I realize today's announcement's about essentially revitalizing this park. There's a big debate happening in this city about acquiring more parkland. That seems to be the crux of the problem. We're running out of land, it's getting more expensive. What help do you think the federal government could provide to help Guelph obtain more parkland for the future?
Well, obviously the federal government always wants to work with provincial governments, municipal governments to the extent possible. If there's a plan, I had the chance to make the acquaintance of your Chief Administrative Officer for the City of Guelph, and if he would like to further the conversation as to what is potentially available through the federal government, I'd certainly invite him to do so.
Thank you.
Do we have any more questions? Est-ce qu'on a une autre question?
Hi there, I'm Keegan with Guelph Today and Laura Fergus today. I just had a quick just clarification. It mentions here in the release, this investment's pending successful completion of a signed contribution agreement. Can you clarify what that means?
I would have to ask one of my officials. That's the kind of detail that this is what we have our wonderful public servants to answer.
Do we have any more questions?
With Wellington Advertiser. You mentioned the total 2.6 million, 750 going to Guelph. I'm wondering what else is going to Wellington County. We've got Air and Ag that I know of.
We have a list of the 8 projects. I'm sure one of my staff can give that to you.
Do we have any more questions? Des questions en ligne? Online questions? I believe that concludes our day.